Hey moms, and welcome to season 2 of Humanizing Moms.
So we are back with some updates for ourselves, and we have 4 new moms that are going to talk to us about their journey through motherhood. And this is kind of our channel staple, so we are pretty pumped to get back to like our roots and where we started. As you know, because you've seen all of our videos.
Let's link a playlist right here.
Yeah. Humanizing Moms is actually what started Momestly Me to begin with. It was the reason for doing it is because it was so hard to find raw, real content that focused on the not so wonderful parts of motherhood, especially when you're including words like safe space, because typically you're not allowed to complain or be upset about anything ever, and everything is perfect. And if you say otherwise, then you're a horrible mother. So it's nice to get back to. It feels a little more normal as far as like content wise. Like I mean, we have fun doing the fun stuff, but you know the heavier stuff is definitely what our point is. Also, if you're wondering,
we just filmed a
our drink with us for
the
month,
which you love and watch, and there's also a link right here.
So you can go watch how we made this.
Absolutely. Our fishbowl. Welcome, spring. But, yeah.
The yellow is the pollen. The green is what the trees should look like if there wasn't so much pollen.
Sure. That's what it is. Actually, it kind of reminds me of the pollen on top of the swimming pool. Yeah. Anyways.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we actually wanted to be able to do this in the fall, but you know,
things were so hard last year
and pandemic, and it just didn't work out. So that's okay, because this, we feel, is actually probably the perfect time to do this, because we're filming this, well, this is coming out in the month of May, which is all about moms, right? Mother's Day. I mean, sure, there's other things, but Mother's Day is in the month
Oliver's
of May.
birthday.
And Oliver's birthday and our anniversary.
No one cares about that.
Shut up. Anyways, but May is about moms. Mother's Month, okay? So we're going to celebrate our moms in our village this month. And it's really exciting because they all have
I love it.
very different stories. And it's a stretch of ages too.
Yes.
Like there's some variety in ages as well. So we're really excited about it.
Definitely something you don't want to miss, because it's going to be a lot of really good stuff. And I mean, and even today, even to date rather, we're a year and a half-ish into this, and I still have people that when I get the opportunity to talk about this series specifically, they love it. Like, and I will say one of the frustrating parts about it, though, I will say this, is that as much as moms and women love the concept, it is so hard to get moms to talk about things that are not fun. Like, it's so hard. Like, I had a girl that I used to work with at my old job that was like, loved the concept, super loved it. The moment I asked her to be a part of it, no, I can't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
But you just said that you wished people would.
One of the best examples of that actually is Erica from season 1. Like, what she talked to us about was such a big, heavy topic.
Yeah.
And until that point, she had never told anybody about it. And it affected her motherhood journey tremendously, probably more than anything else.
I would say so, probably, just based on how she, talked about it. And it's so crazy because it's weird because in the same breath that we know, not everybody's journey is the same, we're sort of conditioned to assume that motherhood is the same across the board.
Right.
That it's the same, not regardless of your age, your ethnicity, like your social status in terms of like money and things like that. And it's like we know that it's not, but we still feel like it is the same.
Right.
So even though we've known some of these women for a long time, hearing them talk about these things is just such a great reminder that what you see in someone else's motherhood is not what they're experiencing at all. And you just have no idea until they're willing to open up, or you make them feel like they can open up.
Even family. Like, even when we're talking to family and you think you know what their journey was like because they've told you some things.
Because you were there for some of it.
Yeah. But then you actually ask the hard questions and you're like crying.
I have no idea.
On screen, it's cool.
Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah. It's really hard. But.
So we're super excited to be jumping back into it, though, because this is a big one.
It is.
Yep.
Speaking of a year and a half, by the way, what's new with you? Because really, we filmed our portion of this, which we'll link right here, our videos. We filmed that in probably August of 2019. Yeah. Our videos were the very first thing that we actually ever filmed for this channel.
Because we had to schedule the other moms.
Because we had to schedule, we did 6 moms.
Right? A lot. That's why we did. We condensed it to 4 this time because 6 was a lot. 2 episodes, give or take, per mom, on top of a reintroduction to the series or whatever. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot, and it's hard to navigate times and scheduling. And stuff too.
And we'll have 2 episodes per mom this season as well. Yeah. But it's going to just be the entire month of May instead of spreading it out over multiple months.
It took
But so really, we're really like almost 2 years past when we originally filmed this. So. What's new with you, boo-boo?
That's crazy. So, and some of this stuff we've already talked about in some other videos periodically, but I mean, I think the biggest things for me is, when we first bought our house, which was only the month before we started filming, Oliver was really just starting to walk, and now he's going to be 3, and he's potty trained for the most part. He's definitely a walker. Like, his language is like crazy right now, which is all of that is so weird to think about. And I think some of the biggest things for me, I lost my job last July, and thankfully, the HR person that did my package really, really liked me and was really frustrated about the letting me go thing. And she really hooked me up, and I got 6 months severance. So I didn't have to stress as much, thankfully, as some families unfortunately had to, because COVID had taken their job away. Right. They say that it's related to COVID. I don't think that them getting rid of my role had anything to do with COVID. I think there were a lot of other things at play. But I lost my job, and I will say this, coming from a place of being very, but when I started working there right before I found out I was pregnant, I'm pretty sure Oliver was conceived the week I got my offer letter, because it was such a great opportunity. And I opened this site from the ground up. Like I put in weekends, late nights. I was there all the time. And this was even in the beginning parts of my pregnancy. And to just feel so undervalued, that my role wasn't worth paying and I wasn't worth keeping. And it didn't matter that the site only existed the way that it did because I had worked so hard on it. That was really difficult for me, because I hadn't really thought about that sort of pride since I had Oliver, because I didn't really care as much about the career aspect of my life anymore, because Oliver was more important to me. And at least we had the financial part to protect us in that regard. But it was a very not great time for me. I had already been home at that point with Oliver for March, April, May, June, 4 months and a half, some change. And I was adjusting to that pretty well. I liked being home with him more. Like, I felt like I was getting kind of the best of both worlds. I was making a decent amount of money and still being able to be home with my kids. So I loved that part. And then when I didn't have the job anymore, I just felt horrible. Like I kind of sunk into this weird depression for like a month and a half, and I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating. I felt like garbage all the time. I barely had the energy to play with Oliver. And it was just this trickle down thing of just feeling like I wasn't doing anything for my family. Mine, obviously I was home with Oliver, but I'm the breadwinner. Like, we needed my money to survive, and it was eventually going to run out. Luckily enough, I got a new job, which is where I work now with Candace. I started.
Who is one of our moms that you're going to meet?
Yes, and you met her before in a previous
Halloween
video.
Yeah.
And I got that job in September, which was crazy lucky. It's right down the road from my house. They are pretty flexible. Not so much about times because I am an hourly employee, but if I have to take something off, I'm given the option to work from home, which a lot of office jobs, when you're an office admin type role, office manager type role, you don't really get that flexibility because your job is to be at the office, you know, so there's a lot of flexibility there. But a lot of that is because my boss is the mother of two, and she has a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and so she gets it. Absolutely. And I typically have male bosses who don't really understand that, or the one female boss I had in the corporate environment didn't have kids, so she could not relate at all. And so it's that ended up working out the way that it was supposed to, but it was a really stressful time, and it took me a little while to get out of that like depressive state. And then I learned that my beta blocker that I was taking was also part of the reason I was so tired all the time I couldn't function. And you can say that you're tired and you're sleepy all the time, but literally not being able to function as a living being is not the same thing as being tired all the time. I couldn't stay awake to do anything. I wasn't like cleaning. I didn't want to. I had a hard time interacting with Oliver. I was just exhausted all the time.
Even with the new job, like the first like week or two, there was so much excitement. I think that you just had like this constant stream of adrenaline that you were like, I'm going to a new job. But then like even that
settled back in,
and you had a hard time because this one's definitely like you have to be there early, and it was.
It was hard. And then I also had absolutely no sex drive, which was something that I had been struggling with before. And so I just decided, and I don't really know why, other than I was just so sick of feeling that way. I just was like, fuck it. I'm not going to take any of my medicine anymore, and I'm going to see what happens. Yeah. So I stopped taking everything. And within a week, I was a totally different person. It was my beta blocker. And the frustrating part about that
Which was supposed to be helping migraines.
Yes, and I was still getting breakthrough migraines, but not as bad as I was before because it was supposedly working. But the problem is it made me feel like garbage. And one of the biggest side effects of the family of beta blockers that I was taking is the loss of sex drive completely. And so it was very frustrating. And then it was literally like overnight. Like, it was so crazy. I went 1 week where I could have never had sex again, and I would have been totally fine with that. Don't even look at me, actually. I'd be fine. And then to literally the point is to overshare, I guess, is like I was insatiable for like 2 weeks until my libido balanced out. And it was because of that drug. That's really all that it was.
Right.
And I don't get me wrong, I'm still tired all the time now. That's just part of existing. But it's not like it was before. Different. And those are like two of the biggest ones, I think, for me was just, I got the loss of job kind of put me in a weird depression and a rut. And I was on the beta blocker then, so that absolutely didn't help. And then realizing what that pill was doing and how it made me feel. I still have to take vitamin D because I do have vitamin D deficiency. If I don't take it, I do feel like I'm about to just fall asleep mid-conversation. But other than that, the only other thing I have to take now is a ton of allergy stuff. And I think we had some spouts with Oliver. We had a couple of stomach issues, but those were interesting because he used to be such a good eater. And now I'm not exaggerating when I tell you he eats nothing. Nothing. Chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, deli ham. French fries. Some French fries. And that's like it. So we do a lot of like goldfish and veggie straws, and he eats sun chips, and he has regular chips, the good ones too.
Does he still do pouches?
I have to, yes. He does. Well, he doesn't like them as much now, but that's what I was doing to make me feel better about the fact that he wasn't eating vegetables or fruits. But he won't eat and I've done it all. I'm not exaggerating. I've done it all, and it just doesn't. He has no interest. He literally looks at food and goes, and that's it. So, And I'm not doing the whole, well, if you don't eat, then you don't eat. That's not. His growth and development is worth more than my ego. He can eat whatever the hell he wants to eat as long as it makes him gain weight and he's getting what he needs. So we have to do the vitamin, we do Flintstones gummies or whatever because he didn't like the texture of some of the other ones that we tried. We did potty training this end of last year, which was a very weird thing because I was so stressed about it. And I tried to do like a really structured potty training, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be. We are going to be successful. And we were not. And it was exhausting. And I never wanted to do that ever again. So literally one day we were just home, just Oliver and I. Rick was at work. And I was like, I'm just going to take his underwear off and see what happens.
Or his diaper, yeah.
Oh, that's what I meant. Put him in underwear and see what happens. And
he's good.
Yeah. The almost first full 2 weeks, no accidents. Not a single one. The only thing we haven't done is the night training. So when he takes a nap and he sleeps at night, because he's a very hard sleeper, he wears diapers, but whatever. He's not even 3 yet. It'll be fine. He's doing so great though. And it seemed to completely get rid of his constipation issues, which is usually the opposite. Still doesn't need anything. And then we transitioned into a big kid bed, which was is awesome some days to see like how big. And then like today when he comes out because he doesn't want to take a nap, that's not fun. It's Melinda's fault, but besides from that,
technically it's Mark's fault.
And but no, like I think everything has just moved so fast. It's hard to believe it's even been that long.
Yeah.
And Oliver, we really are just, I think, lucky. I mean, all of the things that I've been through in the last year and a half that have been hard have not had anything to do with him. I don't think. I think it's all been family drama stuff. It's all been family members being sick. It's been
work,
COVID, work, my body not, like dealing with its own stuff, which all affects my life with Oliver. But yeah, it would have just been a lot harder if he was,
something's going on with him.
Yeah, but other than that. And that's not to say that life is perfect because Oliver's perfect. Oliver's a pain in the ass sometimes. And there are days where he makes me want to cry because he can be a lot. But, I think because I try so hard to come from an understanding perspective of parenting, a lot of the stuff that he does that would be too much for other people, I've learned to just accept.
Sure.
So his getting mad, his throwing stuff, like his yelling and the things that he does, like those types of things, they make for very hard, exhausting days on top of everything else that you're dealing with. And there are times where you're like, I really just need you to stop because I can't do this today. Yeah. And like, I absolutely have days like that, but just generally we've been very fortunate. He hasn't been sick. He hasn't gotten an injury. We haven't had to take him to the hospital for anything, so in that regard, like we've been very lucky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really strange that it's been so long. And like my life is very different from when we started. Like you had a lot of consistency in your life though, with like you were already working and then like you was that little bit of a lull, but then you got your job back again, right? Mm-hmm. And when we originally filmed, I was like a 100% stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. And
then I started working very part-time at my chiropractor's office, helping them out a couple of hours a week. And then that was in January of 2020. January of 20. Just like maybe 5-6 hours a week. And now I work like actually part-time for them. So I go into the office like 2 actual days a week, which, okay, to a lot of people that doesn't seem like a lot. But I went from not working at all
2 years,
almost
a
year and a half, not working at all, stay-at-home mom, to going back into the office, and it was so strange, especially in the beginning, because like I could really only help them out in the afternoons when Mike could be home, or on Saturday mornings, and then now, starting this year in January, I go in those 2 days. So now we've put Aria in preschool. And that's another huge change, which is very strange. But I think it's something that she needed, because one big thing that did happen with Aria in 2020, which I've talked about in other videos, but it's really a big part of like my motherhood journey too, is that she stopped talking to us during COVID. Like, because Oliver was coming over and staying with us 2 to 3 days a week, January, February, March, and then the world shut down in the middle of March.
Yeah, then he was home with me.
And then he was home with you. And then Aria was home with me and Mike, and that was it. We couldn't come over here anymore. Rick's an EMT at that time. Like, he was like, you know, going and seeing COVID patients and everything. And we couldn't come here. We couldn't go see my sister because my brother-in-law had open heart surgery 2 years ago. And like, we couldn't see anybody. It was the three of us at home. And she had never had that except for on the weekends with me. But we did so much. We would go to the mall. We would go to people's houses. We'd go see my sister, who still is a stay-at-home mom. But like, we would go do things, and we did mops. We saw, like, Oliver was with us. Like, we did all these things, and we went from that to just nothing. And it was so drastic for her. It was drastic for all of us, but it was so drastic for her. I guess the way that her brain dealt with it was she stopped talking to us. And it was like kind of terrifying at times, because she went from having all these words to just baba, baba, baba. Everything was baba, everything. And I cried about it a lot, actually. Because even like, she wanted a cookie, and I would say, can you say cookie? Because she would ask for cookies, you know, and she would say baba, baba, and then she'd get upset that I wasn't giving it to her, and like, which made me upset. That was a big thing that happened for me in 2020 during all this stuff, because like, it was such a big change, and I thought I was doing something wrong, that I had like failed as a parent, because we were doing so much. Like, I worked with her just like I did my nephews, of like doing like the preschool-y type things, because that's just what I do. And nothing. Nothing. And eventually, when we were able to start seeing people again, like, the words slowly started coming back. So like, I talked to the pediatrician about it on the phone, and she's like, make a list. So I'd made a list, and when she stopped talking to us, that child had 109 words she was saying to us. And she went from that to 1. And so it was just, she needs people. She's such a people person, and that was something we found out, like, a really emotional, hard way.
Yeah.
But, you know, now we know that. And so one of the things when my doctors asked me about working more hours and taking on the responsibilities that I do at our office now, that was a conversation Mike and I had, was like, can we afford to send her to school? Because number one, we think she needs that interaction with people a lot, other than us. And can we afford it? And so the reason I quit my job originally to stay home with her is because I wasn't going to be bringing any money in. Literally everything would go to insurance and childcare. And that was kind of the case when I started doing more hours at the office starting this year. But at this point, I was okay with it, because one, it was going to be good for her, and two, it gave me this sense of purpose I didn't know that I needed. I didn't realize, I went through a lot of emotional stuff of like not doing things I was doing, and not necessarily because of COVID, but it was during that time, sure, because that's what happened in our life. But I went through this like thing of like not having a purpose other than being Aria's mom. Mm-hmm. Even with this, I think we both kind of fell into that. Our videos became just a thing we had to do at one point in time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, it wasn't that passion that we originally had for a short amount of time, and we fixed that. Like, we've figured things out. We're good. We are so passionate about you guys and about doing this. But I fell into this having no purpose, because I was obviously a horrible mom. My daughter wasn't talking anymore. She'd regressed and lost all these words and wasn't doing these things anymore, and I have no purpose in life. And so starting this job of being in the office and having this very defined purpose has been like kind of a breakthrough thing for me that I didn't know that I needed. And that's been a big thing. And also, we actually have a series that I'm doing about this with my PCOS, because that was a big part of my original story, was my fertility journey to get Aria. And my PCOS has definitely come back. You guys have probably noticed all of the weight that I've gained since we started this channel. If not, please see the original video here. But it's because my PCOS has come back. And I'm working with my doctors to fix that, treat that, work with that. It's not really fixable. It's just there. It doesn't necessarily go away. But you can definitely follow along with that series, where I'm giving updates about how that's going. And that's been a big thing. We started potty training. I would say she's maybe like 80 to 85%, because it's like when she's home with us, she's just like, put a diaper on me, it's fine. She does great when she's at school. She doesn't have accidents. She had one accident in the very beginning, but now she's the only girl in her class. She had another little girl who was potty trained too, because to be in 3-year-old classes, you have to be potty trained. They do put a diaper on her for nap time, but we do that. So I would say like 80 to 83% maybe potty trained, because there's just times where she's just like, no. I'm like, let's put Frozen, because she is Frozen and Minnie Mouse underoos. And I'm like, you want to put Olaf on? She says, no. Diaper, me diaper. Okay. I'm not going to put them on her if she's not going to pay attention and just pee, because sometimes she does that. But I think that's a lot of what's happened with me, is like getting that job, finding this purpose I didn't know I needed, dealing with the stuff with Aria. We did have one emergency room trip. That was terrifying. It was actually January, the weekend before we had to put our cat down, but 2020 started out great, you guys. I got a horrible stomach bug, and then 2 days later, Aria started throwing up. She threw up 10 times in an hour. It was awful, and we thought she had aspirated some of it. She even, in the 2.5 miles, that's how close we are to the hospital, in those 2.5 miles, she threw up in the car 3 times. And like, Mike had to sit in the back seat with her. We thought she had aspirated it. We were in the emergency room all night. She did not. She ended up being okay, got like fluids and stuff, but it was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Yeah,
don't recommend.
Middle of the night, Mike texts me, and we're going to the emergency room for the girl, but everything's fine.
I think that's the text he sent to like a few
I'm
people.
Like, obviously not.
I didn't know what he had sent.
Oh my God.
Like, I had no idea what he had sent, but he had texted, like, there were like 5 people on the list, and I'm like, you need to text these people. Actually, I don't even think I had to tell him. I think he just texted everybody. And after we were there, I'm like, did you text the blah, 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 blah? And he's like, yes. I said, okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think I just assumed it was one of those things where, like, there's a lot going on. I'm not going to be able to answer any questions, but I just wanted you to know something was going on. Because I've done that before. Yeah. I've had to give tell people things to just be like, just so you know, but, like, right. I can't answer any questions you have around this, but, like, this is going on, and we'll be back soon, or whatever, you know, like, whatever the equivalent to that is.
Yeah, I had no idea what he sent out. So that's fun.
We're at the emergency room. It's late as shit at night, and it's about
like 11:30?
The toddler, but everything's fine. I was like, you have got to work on your messaging skills. Take note, Mike.
Take note. But yeah, so those are the big things that I think happened with me over the past year and a half. I mean, other than that, things have been okay, I guess.
We had to put our dog down in February of this year. Yeah. Our 2021 started out like garbage.
Yeah.
It got better, I guess.
It's working on it. I don't know that 2020 got better.
No.
Oh, maybe at the end. But, you know, that's kind of it though. And like, we're definitely excited to be in season 2.
Those are all of our steps.
Yeah.
Yep, he's up. So.
We're excited to be in season 2. We're really excited for you to meet these moms that are going to be coming up this month. And to get to know them and be part. We're so happy that you're part of our village and so grateful for you. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon just once so that you get notified when these amazing episodes are going to come out. Hit the like button. Hopefully you like this video. Comment down below. What are you excited? What do you want to hear from? What do you hope that you're going to hear from these moms? How's your life been over the last year and a half? How have you changed since season 1 of Humanizing Moms? And follow us on social media at Momestly Me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we'll see you soon. Bye, moms.